Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our new edition of Big Brother 28 live feed spoilers. We are here really in the aftermath of a nomination ceremony. We all knew who the nominations were going to be from D, but the fallout to that, it has changed a lot of things, both in terms of the game, but then also in terms of how we're actively thinking about the game.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're rooting for the icons, everything is going their way. I
Yeah.
mean, it's going to be nobody beats Devins at the end of this game. I really feel like he's got this game in the bag. Nobody's really looking at him. If anybody takes him, he beats everybody. And it's just been tough to watch the steamroll. You guys know that I have been rooting for Drew this season, but part of the reason I had been is because I felt like when the time was right, Drew was actually going to turn on the icons because there is no way that he's going to beat them. And I thought that he, in the back of his mind, knew that. He gave us this Cam talk. I was like, okay, he's got to be being truthful with us, even if part of it was to get this really crappy power that did nothing.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, after this whole nomination ceremony and his speech and all of that, to all the Druthers in the crib, I am out of the crib. Like there's no riding for him if he's just riding for the icons. And for all of you out there that are rooting for Devins to win, we really like Devins. And if Devins wins, I'm not going to be mad about it, but I don't want to see it just be the steamroll that it's been for him. I'd like to see some sort of feet in the fire kind of deal here. But now that I know that Drew is never turning on the icons, that Dee's been like, you're my weasel. And he's like, yeah, I'm your weasel. That was it for me. I was like, I am packing up my stuff. I am out of the crib.
This is the frustrating thing about where we are right now with this season as well. It's just from a game sense. It's Big Brother 19 reminiscent in a way where it felt like you had all of these newbies who were willing to sort of bend themselves backwards over to please Paul, whether
Yes.
that means doing whatever they can to save him at the ceremonies, whether that means you start talking really badly about other people in the house. And I mean,
Yes.
we'll get to that in this video as well. It just feels like there is this undercurrent of how do we please the icons? How do we please number one, two, whatever list you want to make in terms of the allegiances? And I mean, yeah, of course, I think all of us are rooting for, chaos, drama, for people to eventually turn on them. And like, it would be great if Barrett or Drew or if some of these people actually make that move. But because
They never will. They never will.
because of the events of yesterday, it really has shifted into, okay, well, we'll believe it when we actually see it. Until then, like, where's the room for the benefit of the doubt anymore?
Yeah, like all season long, the only person that actually took a shot was Yash, and now he's accepted this bribe. So now I'm just like, okay, well, who is really willing to do it? Because even on Lala's HOH, none of the icons hit the block. She talked about it, so I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
she gets HOH again. The icons are hitting the block, I hope. But Taylor is really the one person who hasn't had HOH yet that I'm hoping is the only person that can really turn the game around in some kind of way. I think, unfortunately, hard hats on. We're too deep into the game and all three icons are still there. That there isn't a path with how many people are left in the house, that there aren't icons sitting at the end. There will be icons sitting at the end. So we all just have to buckle up for that at this point because Taylor can't take on the whole house by herself. She needs to have some sort of allies. And there just isn't enough people left because Drew is burned. Barrett's always been burned. Like, it's so frustrating.
Well, we'll get more into what Taylor can do, what's actually happening throughout the house at this point, and a whole lot more. Before we do go any further here, be sure to join our YouTube memberships. Over there, we are doing exclusive Big Brother videos. Every single week, we have a brand new one coming this weekend. And by joining our YouTube memberships, that is the number one way you are able to support Jess and I as we continue to do these videos. We love Big Brother. We love talking about Big Brother with you guys. But yeah, doing Big Brother, it's a lot. It's a video every day, and YouTube memberships helps us to continue to be able to do this.
Helps keep our lights on. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined and is supporting us all season. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys so very much. Okay, well, we'll start here by contextualizing everything with what apparently happened at the nomination ceremony, because as you guys may know, Drew, Lala, and Taylor were put up on the block. Now, we obviously don't see what happens on the ceremony on the feeds, and some of this may be left on the cutting room floor whenever Big Brother does choose to air it.
Yeah.
But Drew decided during the nomination ceremony he was going to call out Taylor, Lala, Yash, basically as many people who are not a part of this larger Mosh Pit Alliance as he could.
Listen, while it's extremely frustrating that Drew ended up doing this, he has had all this season, he was going to have to eventually pick a side. And
Yes.
for most of the season, I've been saying in these videos, he is loyal to the icons. He's going to continue to be loyal until I think he was going to be really burned by them. And before this ceremony, it felt like he finally got there. Like a couple of weeks ago, he was put on the block. He was making excuses. Everybody let him know that he was actually the target.
Yeah.
When he went up again, I was like, okay, this is it. This is where, you know, the rubber meets the road, that he is either going to completely be the weasel for them and do everything he can to burn everybody else, or he's finally just going to make a choice and be like, okay, put me on the block bet. I'm going to end up taking myself off. I have before, and I'll find a way through this. But that is not what he ended up doing. He finally just was like, you know what? I am completely aligned with the icons by burning all the newbies about this meeting that they had of them all sort of trying to come together and all that. He just laid it all out. And I will say, for Drew, not for us watching that are frustrated with
Yes.
it, but if Drew wants to get closer to the end, this is the move to keep him in the game. He is on the block and he was the target. So now it seems that it has shifted away from that. But this move means he never wins the game. He will never win this game.
That's the thing. It's sort of, we can look at this from a game standpoint and be like, okay, Drew is on the block. Is he doing and saying whatever he can to try to make sure he doesn't get taken out this week? I mean, sure, you can say that and you can be like, this move is helpful from that vantage point. And I mean, yes, you can theoretically say, oh, maybe he'll get power and do something with it later, but it's hard to
He
really,
won't.
yeah, that's the thing. It's really hard to give him that benefit of the doubt after something like this. But then you get into what you just said about winning the game. And there's a difference between making it to the end and people respecting you when you get to the end. And
He has really burned his jury votes with that whole side of the house. Nobody's giving him the vote. This was like a game-ending move.
yeah, it just feels like you're turning all these people against you in that way on a personal level. And it's sort of like, we'll look at Barrett, for example, where Barrett, I think, has a really good chance of getting very far, maybe even to the final two. Like, I could
Yep.
easily see Barrett making it there with D, of course, one of the icons. But it's just like, what does Barrett have to stand on? He might be able to go up there and say, I did these things because I knew the icons had power. I knew that I was going to be in danger if I didn't do. And it's like, sure, but nobody's going to respect a cowardly game. Nobody is
Nope.
going to be like, you have just been a yes man to D the entire season. You've done everything she wants. We don't care if it was good for your game to quote unquote stay safe. It's like, we don't have any respect for that.
No, and now Drew, to me, is entirely in that camp. I felt like, yes, he was riding with the icons for as long as he was going to, but that eventually, and I know there's a lot of you out there that felt that too, that eventually,
Mhm.
if anyone was going to turn, it was never going to be Barrett, but it was possibly going to be Drew. But now, no, him doing this and having this big, burning the other side of the house, he has lost all those votes. There's no way that Drew wins this game. However,
Mhm.
at this point, I can see people taking him to the end because nobody's giving him the votes based on that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's going to be very hard for him to sell anything after doing something so deferential, so publicly, and also just making people so upset because things apparently got pretty heated during this ceremony. And a lot of it sort of stemmed from Lala being the supposed perpetrator of getting everybody to want to go after the icons. And a lot of that is true. Like Lala has tried to be on the defensive and be like, Devins is really the only one I want out, which she has said to other people, including Dee, which is kind of a weird thing to say.
Yeah, but people should want to go after the icons. I get
Yeah.
that Drew's just like, oh, you did this to go after the icons. At this point, it's like, yes, why are we all riding to the end with the icons? Does nobody here want to win any money? Because if we all go to the end with even Angela beats everybody.
Yeah, it's so okay. Like, even in the midst of all this, like Lala is getting very, very defensive. Taylor's getting very, very upset. Taylor apparently at one point just tells Drew, I don't like you. And it's just like things get very personal. And, that's the unfun way about Big Brother is that, it's
Part of it. It sucks, though.
it does suck because it's like we want to sit here and be like everybody just focused on the game and just do it that way. But like, how many seasons does that end up actually being the case, right?
Never. And, Drew's been saying personal things, behind their back. At least Taylor is saying it to his face.
Well, that's the thing. And this is why, I do have a lot of respect for Taylor coming out of this, where it's just
Yes.
like she is standing her ground. She is making it clear, this is where I stand. And I mean, yes, Taylor, Yash, well, like all of them have talked about going after the icons. It's not really,
As they should.
yeah, it's not really that big of a secret, but I think all of them know what's going on in the moment when Drew is up there trying to air out all of this dirty laundry that, he was that part, at times a major part of. And I think it's this, oh, you're just trying to kiss the feet of the icons to save yourself because
Yes.
you're in trouble and you're
Yes.
making us look really, really bad. And also in the midst of everything, because you've got this whole FAP alliance, which is for the most part scared, with one small caveat we'll get to. Here you have Melody, Barrett, Mallory, like trying to stand up for him in the midst of this ceremony because they feel like if he is casting his lot over here, like we all kind of have to cast our
That's
lot
right.
over here because then all of us are suddenly going to feel the wrath of the icons too.
Absolutely. There is nobody really left on this other side. Like, even Haley is being brought back in by Angela and Dee. And it's like, so then Taylor and Lala are on an island by themselves because Yash
Yeah.
took the bribe. So
Yes.
they're so stuck. It makes me so frustrated. This is the hard part about rooting for underdogs is that, once in a while you'll have them be able to rise to the top,
Yeah.
but it's very difficult. And they are in a really hard situation because it really feels like with this speech that Drew has given that if you touch the icons, you're a problem, and everybody in the house knows it. You do not go after the icons. You have to ride to the end with them or else.
Yeah, and it just also feels like if you're outside the icons, this season in particular, you're dealt this really unfortunate hand where you've got all of these really, really negative circumstances piling up and piling up. Like even with Yash, just because Devon's just so happened to have the diamond power of veto, like everything
Yeah.
gets unraveled. And yeah, it's fair for Yash to know that there's a chance a power will be played on his HOH, but to be able to predict every single power that has ever been in Big Brother and know that this is going to screw over your HOH week that badly, that's a lot to ask of anybody.
Okay, the thing that came in clutch here to make it that I've left the crib of the truthers was the conversation afterwards where, Drew is really excited. He thinks his speech went really well, that he has saved himself, and he did. That
Yeah.
This all did work out. Then you've got Dee in here basically being like, you're my little weasel. I love you, my little
Yeah.
weasel. And he's like, yeah, I'm your little weasel. I'm like, yo, have some self-respect. I
know.
understand that you're on the block and you have to take some stuff, but you don't have to take everything. You could have changed that instead of being like, yeah, I'm your weasel. You could have been like, I'm not your weasel, but I'm loyal to you, and have a little bit of backbone in that because it still is the same thing. Dee's not going to kick you out
Yeah.
for saying, whoa, pump the brakes. I'm not your weasel, but I am loyal to you. And I just showed you I'm loyal to you. We are working together. And I think she still would have been just fine with that as well. Like, Dee did not need to go in
Yeah.
that hard on him to put him in a box, but he put himself in this box.
The power dynamics, I think, are it's what's making a lot of this really, really uncomfortable to watch, where it just feels like D is having this form of HoHitis to the extent
Yes.
that like she knows that Barrett and Drew are just sort of tools that she can use whenever she wants.
But
And
there's no reason to degrade people on the
yeah,
show, like anybody, all the cast.
yeah, and that's the part of it that just gets weird, and Drew just taking it is so weird. Even if he is like
So
saying it
weird.
in like a hot, like there's no telling somebody you're a weasel in like a joking way and then agreeing with it or going along. Like I just
I can't. Yeah, I can't. I
and
can't. Pulling the chute. I can't. I
well,
can't.
this is honest. This is what's frustrating me with Melody too, to a certain extent here, and this is why I'm starting to be like, is there anyone from FAP I can even count on? Like, do I give a shred of hope to any of these people? And it's like,
Yeah, I pull on FAP as well. They're not able to work together because Drew and Barrett are part of it.
yeah, and it's just like Melody, yeah, like her and Mallory, they have had a confrontation of sorts with Drew in the aftermath of the nomination ceremony where they did call him out for spreading some information, for talking about them, this considering keeping Kamu. And yeah, he owned up to some of it. And he was just like, yeah, I did some of it. And then their response was just like, well, don't do that. And it's just like, yeah, okay, once again, I understand you're afraid to burn any bridges, and I understand you guys, Taylor, I mean, you guys, Melody and Mallory, like you have been so invested in FAP for a long time, but it's just like,
That
you,
bridge is burned, man. It is burned.
yeah, like you can hold the line a little bit more. And like my other frustration with the two of them, and we've talked about this for a very, very long time, is just that Taylor and Lala have been sitting here, and I know that Lala is not a great Big Brother strategist. Like she's made that clear a million different times.
No, but Taylor is. So,
Yes.
like, ladies, move over and work with Taylor. Like, you can maybe find a way to get Lala to kind of like rein it in just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's 4 votes. Pull in Yash as
Yeah.
a vote. Like, yeah, he's not able to put D up on the block, but he can vote against her, which is why I had said that this BB bribe, why are you keeping Yash in this house? He can still vote you out, and he will.
Yeah, this is where we have to almost become elementary school teachers again and hit that familiar refrain of actions speak louder than words. And I say this in particular in the context of Mallory, where like a part of me has been trying to cling to like one little hope with Mallory because she has been the person in FAP time and time again talking about, I want to get rid of the icons. I want to target the icons.
It's
And
all
like,
talk,
yeah,
man.
like so much of her hesitancy with Kamu was that, Kamu may go after the icons. Like she's talked about wanting to find a way to keep Taylor and Taylor and Yash on her side because they may want to go after the icons. But then, Mallory, you threw the head of household competition.
So frustrating.
Like you enabled D to win. And I know Mallory and Melody both talked about, oh, we want to throw this one so that we can win the next one. But it's like, once again, I'll talk. Like, let's fast forward here to the end of this week. Like, what's going to stop you guys from then being like, we're going to do this again? It's just like, do you just want to get to jury? It's like, we mentioned this early on this season. You can be eliminated really early and be iconic, and then you can make it to jury and be a coward and be very, very forgettable.
Absolutely. Like, hard hat on, there's no saving this season. One of the icons are winning because the only person that I feel like would actually do something now that Yash is not able to do anything is Taylor. And Taylor can't like just steamroll her way to the end by herself. And she's probably going this week if she doesn't save herself. Like,
Yeah.
if she's gone, it's over. And even if she stays, it's kind of like a every other week. If she can win that way, she might be able to, she'd have to win her way to the end.
Yeah.
And every time she gets HOH, get an icon out. That's why it's just so frustrating that we all really have to buckle up for a Survivor person to win this season.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor, she's going through a lot of emotions right now, and I think a lot of this is understandable. She feels like she is completely on the outs from the house. Like, she
Yep.
debated, like, do I use the veto on myself even if I win? Like, do I have the
Yes.
votes to stay? Yes,
Yes.
Taylor. Yes, 100%.
Please.
I think she will get there. I mean, Taylor, she's won before. Like, she's
Yep.
more than capable of doing something like this. It's just very hard, I think, to emotionally get yourself together. But this is why, Taylor, I am fine with you doing whatever you need to sort of shake off a lot of the frustration you're
Yep.
feeling. Like, she hid Drew's brush, and she even looked at the rule book at one point to see whether or not she could. And it's just like, she's not damaging his property. She's not doing anything like that. It's just you're channeling a lot of your frustration because you've got people telling you off publicly and making you like you have to find something to do, especially when not a lot of people are even checking in on you in that way.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. It's very sad to watch.
Yeah, and like this is the part of this week that I'm honestly just hating the most is the isolation that's happening towards Taylor
Yes.
and like the comments that are being made.
Yes.
Angela basically saying, I want this week to be terrible for Taylor. Like,
It's disgusting.
yeah, like for what reason do you need to say negative things about somebody who is already the target, who, we'll see what happens with the veto. Like maybe Yash can end up going up despite with the bribe and all, but it's just like, you don't need to make things worse for somebody whose game is already in this much jeopardy.
Absolutely. We've seen, if you watch last season of The Traders, this is now my example forever,
Yeah.
where, we had Ron who was on the outs. Everyone was isolating him. This seems to be gameplay on like every show, and
Yeah.
it's always miserable to watch.
Yeah.
And Rob Roush was just like, no, I really like Ron. I'm going to continue talking with Ron. I'm going to continue playing a game with Ron.
Yes.
I'm not going to end up being a target because I like Ron and because I'm hanging out with Ron.
Yes.
So it was really nice to see that turned around in a way that then, he can run all the way to the end and still be like, and here I am, the winner. Like Angela, this is not a way to win the game.
No, and this is the thing about Angela the first time I didn't like either. It's one thing to target people, it's another to make personal attacks or be mean to somebody unnecessarily. There are multiple people in this big whatever mosh pit alliance that are just being way too harsh and way too mean to Taylor for no real reason.
Right.
It's reminding me of Big Brother 25, where early on that season, I really liked Jag. I was rooting for Jag. But then as it got along, they were just so mean to Sari and Felicia
Yeah.
for like no real reason. Like the last thing that I will say, since you mentioned Rob Roush here, I will give a little bit of a shout out to the last person I ever expected to here, and that is Haley, who has actually checked in on Taylor a lot more than I would have expected and has tried to kind of keep, at the very least, a social relationship alive there. And that's just like, I appreciate that, Haley. You may have a lot of social game problems, but, just be with someone you consider to be a friend.
Absolutely. Haley has turned her game around it in a completely new, interesting, fresh kind of way now that Chuck and Kamu are out of the house.
There's this weird part of me that wonders if like Haley stays a really, really long time, if almost everybody's opinions of her are going to be reversed. Like I'm not
Yep.
willing to go there with Haley yet, but it's an interesting thing to look out for.
Yep.
Okay, but well, that's where we are coming out of this edition of Big Brother 28 live feed spoilers. We'll see what happens with the veto. I really hope Taylor wins this because I just want to see something in this game change and just have these underdogs have a little bit of power and stop this treatment that's happening towards them.
I hope they can do something, but like I said, it's the other side of the house has just been whittled away to almost nothing. It's going to be a miracle if one of the underdogs actually makes it to the end, let alone win.
Okay, well, that's where we are with this edition of Big Brother 28 live feed spoilers. Yeah, be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you do want to support us more, join our YouTube memberships for weekly exclusive Big Brother videos over there. Thank you so much for your
Thank
support.
you.
And we will see you here next time.